But one of the reasons why I do these interviews, Victor, is to really help people take a shift in the way that they think about groups, about income that they can earn. And I know this is the very beginning of your journey, but I love being able to go ahead and jump into and capture the moments of these successes as they grow out. Like with Antoinette, I interviewed her when she made her first 13K. And then it became 60, and then it became over 100, and now it's over 130K. And so I get to see her journey along the way. So this is the beginning of yours, and I love to be able to capture this moment. And one of the benefits of doing these interviews is I'm also going to, this is for current clients as well. Those who feel like they are going to give up, or they feel like, oh man, the thing they're doing isn't like crazy working. So this is for those who feel like the audience might be too small, and instead of giving up, they can push forward. So that's also the benefit of these type of interviews. So welcome to the interview. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you. So before we get into that, Victor, let's get into your origin story. Like, what series of events led you into having a conversation with our team? What sparked that interest in choosing this particular vehicle for you to do your launch? So yeah, let's dive on into that.
Okay, how much time do we got? Because this is a long story.
We have an hour for this interview. So yeah, typically the interviews are an hour because I like to go in depth. I like to get into the details.
Got it. Okay. I guess it will be fair. I got to start always from the beginning, like the beginning. And anybody who's seen me, they know I used to be a software engineer. I live in San Francisco, worked in Silicon Valley, mostly in the games industry. So I've made games for the PlayStation, Wii, the Nintendo DS, pre-smartphones, post-smartphones, PC, all that. So I've done a lot. During that time, I was doing a lot of commuting, so I didn't like it. I didn't like public transit, and I didn't like driving because it's all the traffic. At the time, Teslas were the brand new hotness. I wanted one of those, but I didn't want to pay for one. So I'm like, oh, let me get a side hustle. I found my thing, which is land investing. That's going fine until it wasn't. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is very important for the story that how I kind of came across your midst. There was a time where I kind of got lured away from land investing by shiny objects, right? Affiliate marketing was a big one. Trying to be somebody's salesperson with another one. Just a bunch of little things. Fulfillment by Amazon, so FBA, a bunch of little stuff kind of got me away from that. And in that time, I realized it's tough to kind of build an audience. It could be tough to use social media to your benefit and all that. So after that, I quit my job thinking I had all the answers, and I didn't. During that time of unemployment, I wrote a book, which didn't bring in a lot of people to build my audience, but the book is fire, in my opinion. But then I lost my grandparents, and then my mother was murdered by my little brother. So things were really looking bad for me.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, I know, right. A lot of therapy, so it's fine now, but it's still this it's an unfortunate situation. Either way, I get back into land investing right before the beginning of the pandemic. And as I am starting to pull myself out of the financial hole I got myself into with land investing, people are like, hey, how are you doing this? What's going on? Like, we're losing our jobs and you're making money after being broke for so long. Not really their words, but, paraphrasing. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I should show people what I'm doing. So I decided to start a Facebook group. The Facebook group was started because I was encouraged by some friends of mine who have their own version of what you do. And their stuff works. It worked okay. It wasn't gangbusters, but it wasn't like, oh, this is a waste of my time. However, it was a lot of manual labor, and I didn't like the manual labor, especially land investing, such a simpler thing to do. But I really enjoy teaching. I really enjoy coaching. I coach sports, especially basketball. And I'm like, I didn't want to give that up. But running the group, trying to do different things that engage people in the group, running ads to the group, running ads as a regular just coach, just nothing was really working. And then one day on Instagram, I saw your ad with the big poopy stuffy or whatever. And I saw you making fun of my friends in their version of doing using groups to help with your coaching offer.
Yeah.
And then so I got on your email list. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. This is like a lot of work, man. Maybe these groups aren't really the hotness. I don't know if I want to do groups anymore. I'm going through all that, getting frustrated. Um, and one day I decided, what the hell? Why not give her a shot? Um, and then I didn't actually do the live event because I signed up at the wrong time. But I talked to one of your team members. Ended up talking to you. You kind of showed me the light, and here we are today.
Yeah. So the difference and what you wanted to avoid was the manual labor. So I really want to get into that because again, this interview is to like I like to get into the details to see what is it manual labor and what were you taught, because a lot of people are taught that they're taught to go and send a bunch of messages to a discovery call, to a book call. Like, how was that method not all it's cracked up to be? Why didn't it work for you? It worked for other, maybe other people, it might work for them. What made you resonate with the way that we go about things versus what you were doing before? And I think this is really important for the audience to tune in and listen to, because a lot of them do experience what it is that you experienced.
Okay, so hopefully everybody's taking notes because I've tried everything. So as I said before, there was a period where I was, wasn't doing my main thing, and I was trying to figure it out with the, and all the shiny objects kind of lured my attention away from my bread and butter. Now, during that time, as I said, I tried to also, I don't think I mentioned this, after I tried to sell for other people, I'm like, I can't really sell for anybody else. I just want to do my own thing. So I tried my own coaching offer, free land investing. I knew how to do that, but I wasn't confident enough to teach that, even though I was stupid. But I thought I can just, all the different courses I just bought, I can just teach what I just learned. And so I bought more courses to kind of learn how to market. And so this is where all the other stuff comes in. So like one of the ways of doing organic stuff on Facebook that you learn is joining a bunch of different groups and, strategically making posts or strategically DMing people in the group, or, sometimes you're being above board, sometimes you're being a little underhanded, just depending on who you are. But those techniques never really worked for me, and it got me banned from a lot of groups. After starting my group, I would post a ton in my group, these long form worded content. I would go live in a group at least once a week. I would do little short videos. I would do a bunch of lead magnets, PDFs and trainings and back rubs and, crack cocaine, whatever it took to get people to, I had to lure them into my gingerbread house somehow. But nobody was
Yeah.
following the damn crumbs to get into my gingerbread house. So I ate no children. All right. So I'm doing a lot of different things. And then like, all right, well, if I'm going to do more of a traditional coaching, let me lean into social media. So now I'm doing a daily video. Now I'm trying to post 3 to 5 times. I'm making memes. My memes were pretty cool though. I'm not going to lie. I actually enjoyed making those from time to time. I really should get back into that. But anyways. So postings, memes, videos, promoting myself, putting myself on the corner, turning tricks, all the stuff that you learn to do. I've tried it. I've also tried to promote my group live events. Took another course on live events. They tried their best to help me out. Nothing seemed to work. And I'm sitting here with my main source of income at this time, land investing. So I buy parcels of land for cheap and I sell them for their resale price, right? Nothing complicated about it. But my land investing is paying for my bills, and it's also paying for this coaching business that's not going anywhere. But I enjoyed the coaching. So I keep going back and forth. So I want to keep doing this. Like, people just don't care. I don't have a really big name in this space. So, maybe all the people who would be interested, they're getting sucked up by the bigger names, by the people who taught me how to do land. Granted, I do things differently these days because I've got some private coaching. And I really feel confident in my methods and how I teach. and all the things that I went through before, like, hey, this is something I can really do to help people out if they're looking to invest their money in a different way. And I just go back and forth. So between going through all these things, paying all this money for all these different courses and curriculums, and then going after just feeling all the different, I guess, disappointments, frustrations, results that are kind of okay, but not enough to be like, this is it, where the hard work is worth it. It sucked. Everything sucked. And again, that's how I met you. And hopefully that gives you a clear picture of the manual labor I was talking about. It's just a lot of work for not a lot of gain.
Yeah. And I love that you went into all that detail. Love it. You it sounds like you went on this kind of content hamster wheel of death where you're just posting content all the time and you're trying out all these different things, but most of it relied on a daily grind or a weekly grind. And that didn't resonate with your energy. I do want to, you're like, oh, heck, I tried all these things. Might as well try Kim's thing. Um, what is it about my program after a lot of things didn't work out for you? Because a lot of people might have given up, they might have been like, shoot, I tried everything. But for you, there was a moment where you decided, hey, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try this too. So what was it about the way that we spoke to you, the way that the program spoke to you, that resonated with you, given all the things that didn't work for you?
It's a good question. Initially looking at some of the emails, I was just like, yeah, it's another group thing. And they have their method, and it's, like, I'm sure it's works for some people because everything I've tried worked for other people as well. So it's never been like I've done something that never worked for anybody. So I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it works. But honestly, I think it was my conversation with you directly that kind of let me see, like, okay, this is a little bit different. And then there will be a lot more support, where with everything else that I've tried, there is a possibility that I wasn't doing things to the best of my ability, so to speak. Like, there's no real way to know unless you're getting that data of people are like, hey, yeah, I'm interested. I want to try this. I'm going to do this. And if you're not getting that, it's very easy to be like, well, this just ain't working for me, right? It may have worked for this person over here, but it ain't working for me. And I don't have the motivation to actually figure this out, at least this method, especially when there's other things to do. And I don't know, I just think it was our conversation because you just felt more personable. Things felt a little bit more personalized, and it wasn't just, hey, just join our program, jump into a group, and then good luck. And I think that's what kind of convinced me, like, hey, let me give it a shot. They're going to give me this type of help. Then what do I have to lose?
Yeah. And I believe it's also because we helped someone that successful do it is that you want to do as well in the land investment space. So if you're, one of the logic that in terms of knowing that having the confidence to be able to help you is, number one, we're helping you convert one to many. Number two, we've helped others who teach exactly what it is that you want to teach be successful multiple times over. So that gave me a lot of confidence to say, hey, look, if you come on in, we know what are the steps that you need to take to succeed. And also you are getting that extra one-on-one support from the team. Whereas we're not plunging you into a group coaching environment where you're showing up to get your questions answered live maybe once a week. If you miss that opportunity, that chance, then oh well, too bad. That's not how we go about having our clients succeed. So with that said, once you're in, what are the things you actually consume, and how was the support in terms of like how was it different that led you to succeeding now versus the way things were before for you and when you're purchasing programs and investing in yourself?
Got it. Okay, so two things jump out at me. about, at least my most recent success. One was having that personal concierge help me kind of like get things going, having that phone or that Zoom call with my personal concierge and kind of laying out the path, like, okay, this is what you got to do. This is how you should do it. Here are the resources, right? Like, sure, maybe some of that information could have been presented like, here, just read this document or watch this video and follow it. And, sometimes that's fine. But just having someone to talk to and bounce ideas off of, that made all the difference, especially on that call where we were talking about how do we, package up my offer in a way that's going to be more compelling. Because again, I've all the different courses, I packaged up my offer 6, 7, 8 times already. So I'm just like, oh, these questions again, here we go. But having somebody else kind of walk through it with me and give their feedback and say, hey, this worked for so and so, this might work for you, or we've seen this type of success using, this type of approach. So I'm like, okay, let me try these things. Or, oh, you know what, I didn't think about that. All right, yeah, let's do that instead. So I think that was really helpful. And then the second thing, especially, is your friend and mine, Larry, right? I don't want to butcher his last name.
Antiporta.
Okay, I was about to put another syllable in there, but yes, I've been on his sales calls pretty much every week, and again, because we were able to develop this more of a personal relationship, working, going through his sales calls and that material, like he's helped me tremendously with the closing process. So before coming to this group, I had, I was still getting clients. It's just the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And, it was just like, I don't know if I just want to keep going through this. But with him, he helped me see where I was kind of falling short. And a couple of tweaks here and there, like it made all the difference for me. And because of that, I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. I can kind of see the whole thing come together, because it wouldn't do me any good if I do a great group or a great live event. I get a billion people to, book a call with me or whatever, and then I drop the ball on every single call, right? So Larry was been instrumental, and I guess it's the holistic approach of like every part of your offer and the event and the closing and everything in between. There's a point person that's not just treating you as a number. Because again, I've been in other programs where they have coaches that are experts in so, they're different fields, but the way things happen is like you said, you just dropped in a group, the calls are like 5 hours long. You can't even attend the whole thing. So if it is your turn, you might even miss it because you got a life outside of being on a call for somebody. They don't really get to know you that well, at least me. I'm not going to speak for other people. So it was just nice, again, knowing that my needs were being taken care of. My time was respected, and I got to the heart of the matter. So.
Yeah, I love that. I like how candid you are as well, Victor. You're very funny. You have a lot of like humor in how you talk, and I'm pretty sure your clients resonate with you on that. So it's not like you were not getting clients. You were getting clients, but like you said, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Sounds like you weren't maybe charging high enough, or what? Let's what do you mean by juice isn't worth the squeeze? Like you were getting clients, but infrequently and not consistently, or can you expand on that?
Yeah, it was inconsistent, very inconsistent, infrequently. So to give you a little bit more context, when I got into the coaching space, again, I love to coach. Like I like to teach. One of my, as I said, I tried to teach general business stuff, but in that process, I took a course on coaching and how to reach people and how to motivate and how to, be tough when I need to be tough and all that good stuff, right? Human psychology and everything else. So I really enjoy it. But the main reason why I kind of put so much time, money, and energy into it is because it should stabilize my land investments. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I buy a piece of property and I plan to sell it, well, there's a time lag that happens trying to, going between looking for property, buying it, and selling it. Sometimes things happen quickly. Sometimes it takes a lot longer than expected. Well, I got to eat in between times when I'm, buying a bunch of property. I can't speak for you, but I enjoy food. I enjoy having a place to sleep. So I need something to make sure that's keep coming in. And if I want to invest in nicer properties, So just for a little background, like I can buy a piece of land in like Texas for $500, sell it for 2,000, buy a property for 2,000, sell for 8,000, and so on and so forth. But if I want to buy something nicer that's going to give me a bigger payday, I'm gonna need more capital. I felt coaching could be that steady income that could help me pay my bills and increase my capital for more investments. So when I'm not getting a steady supply of clients, that kind of throws a wrench in the plan. So I'm like, well, okay, well, what am I doing? And then you try to double down harder. And you try to fight it. You try to get in there. Ain't nothing working. And then you get frustrated because that's a lot of effort. And you're like, all right, I have 10 people lined up to call. 5 of them don't know what the hell's going on. They ain't know what time it is, right? 3 of them don't even show up to the damn call, right? Now you basically like, hey, I got 2 people. One person ain't got no money, right? So no, not even just for me. Talk about to even invest in a property. They're just, they're in a hard time. Not making fun of that. I was there. I get it. When I was in a financial hold, I was negative dollars, but I was able to make it happen because I already had the information. And the other person, if I strike out, well, that's it. And I'm like, so that's what I mean. Like, and I did all that work to get a bunch of people who aren't necessarily qualified, who aren't going to show up to the call. And I basically got 1 or 2 genuine prospects that I had to close. And I wasn't doing a good job of that every single time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. So the inconsistency was very frustrating, and people not showing up to calls, and there would be seldom calls, and the seldom calls you do have, they don't even have the money or the know-how of like when the time is. So how did that reality change for you when you try out our method? How did you see that shift and that change to make you go, okay, like pieces are coming together, this might work? I do know that for everyone listening in, one of the biggest things that happen, especially current clients talking to you guys, when there are few people showing up to your challenge, you would be like, I give up, I'm not even gonna pitch. And so with Victor, it's a different story. So Victor, can you get into the numbers and what gave you hope, even when you're not like flooded with like 100, 200 people booking calls with you?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I've tried live events, different methodology, but it's, overall similar thing. And in those live events I would get maybe 20 people to sign up and then like 5 people to show up. So with your methodology, it wasn't much better in the amount of people who were signed up. So I think it was 32 people signed up. And then every day during the event, I think I maxed out at 11, right? So 11 people live with me going through the stuff that, showing them how to invest in vacant land. But the reason why I kept going is, number one, people were actually listening. They were actually being engaged with what I was doing. So it made it feel like, hey, it was worth my time. Remember, I said I was doing a live stream once a week in my Facebook group. Half the time, I'm just talking to my goddamn camera. Ain't no one out there. No one's listening. So if I can do that for a couple of years, talking to 11 people felt like I thought I was Oprah Winfrey or somebody. Because all these people had my attention. So it was easy for me personally, because I'm used to doing this in front of nobody, having people listening and responding, even though, it is on Facebook where you're like, hey, put one in the chat if you like ducks. And then like, you don't see no ones come through. And then next thing you know, you're on to the next thing. And then the ones start coming because there's a delay. But just seeing that, even though it was a delay and I'm already moved on, it just kept me going. It kept me going. And I noticed day 1, you have a good amount. Day 2, you probably I had the most. Day 3 was a little bit less than day 1. So I think day 1 was like 8 people. Day 2 was 11. Day 3 was like 10. But I'm noticing the same people commenting. So I'm like, all right, yeah, they're with me. And then doing the VIP events that you talk about, I would get about 6. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is working. And in the thing, I'm talking to people. I'm just giving information without necessarily teaching, just answering, general questions, things like that, not trying to overwhelm them, because in my past events, I probably overwhelmed them trying to be really helpful, but it might have been, fire hose level of information. But yeah, so when I'm having people come to the VIP events, I'm seeing people coming or logging into the live, it's giving me hope. And then so by the time day 4 came, it was pitch day. I'm just like, well, just do it, just make it happen.
I love that. And especially, I mean, you could be discouraged, but you aren't, because you're like, hey, if I've been talking to a camera for so many years and I kept that up, definitely I can do this. 6 people is, people are listening. So one of the things I tell my current clients as well as potential clients is, hey, you can profit big on a very tiny audience. It doesn't have to be huge, but it's a good platform. It's a good stepping point for you to do this, because after your very first launch, really people will get to know that that's your brand, that's what you do. And then your second or third one, you'll be enrolling from people who saw you the first time and just didn't have the investment and say yes to you later. So there's this definite compounding effect that happens when you keep on at it. For you, Victor, the next stages would be automating your training and then eventually running a video sales letter. But I have you do this first, and then we do the ads later, because that's like pouring gasoline on the current fire that you have. So I'm really excited to see that happen. For you, the numbers are 8 people showing up, 11. But what gave you hope was that they stayed. So the biggest piece of this is not the number of bodies that show up. It's the bodies that continue showing up again and again. And it's because the messaging is strong. It allows them to follow you along all the way to your pitch. So what happened when you pitch? You're like, all right, let's do it. Let's jump into this. Uh, yeah, out of everyone there, like how many people were watching? How many calls did you book? And what was the conversation like?
So during the pitch, like I didn't get like a flood of people, because I know there's at least in the slides you present, you can be like, hey, $500 deposit, you can click this link, pay here, do that. And I've been a part of different other people's events where you go, you pay and all that. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to try and do that. Just book a call. You ain't got to pay no money to book a call. Book the call, right? And nobody booked. Nobody booked. So, I mean, that's cool. I act like I didn't see it. I'm like, whatever. It's all good. I do the live, the VIP event or portion of it, like 2 hours later or whatever I had it scheduled. And then, there's roughly the same people, a couple of people who are already doing what I do, land investing. After the pitch, they kind of left. And they're like, all right, I already know what I'm doing. I'm like, hey, that's cool. You shouldn't have been here in the first place, because I told you guys, if you're already doing land, don't come to my event. People are hard-headed. Anyways, so they stopped coming. Like they shouldn't have came in the first place. But they at least, gave me somebody to talk to, as they gave their 2 cents. During the VIP session, I'm again having mostly the same people show up. I'm like, hey, why didn't you book this call? What's going on? But I'm not just bugging. I'm like, hey, come on. I'm not just trying to like, be like some sleazy guy. I'm trying to actually answer their questions. Like, look, man, you keep playing these games. You need help. Stop playing these games and get the help. And you know what, you're right. Right. So in those one-on-one conversations, even though it's in a VIP group setting, 5, 6 people, they're like, yeah, so they'll book. So from there, I got 3 people to book calls from that.
All right, 3 people to book. And when out of the 3 people, how were they when they showed up? Like, what was their demeanor? Was it like, oh, I don't even know the time? Like, what was the way that in which they showed up for the booked calls?
No, these people, they were on it. They knew what time it was, right? I don't mean like necessarily physically. I'm just talking about like, in the 1970s, I'm cool type of like lingo sense. So they were like, they're on it. And their question was less about, hey, is land investing like wait, what is land investing? What is, I saw this video and I clicked on it. I'm broke. I need money. To about, okay, is this right for me? Should I be doing this or should I not be doing this? Right. And it made it easier because since at least these individuals were on that VIP, I didn't need to do a lot of rapport building on that phone call. I can just jump into it because the rapport is already built, and I can be very specific about what their needs, what were their expected outcomes, give them timelines, how I will help them. Using a lot of Larry's advice and things like that, and the conversations felt very natural. On a side note, since I've done a ton of these calls, for my own stuff and for other people, I've never really felt comfortable doing them. It just felt like, oh, this is going to be a long waste of time. They ain't got no money. They're not going to have this. But with Larry's advice, I'm like, this is a more comfortable conversation. And unlike times when I had comfortable conversations in this space, I know I'm actually getting somewhere as opposed to just being their buddy just so they can say no to me at the end of the conversation. Right. But in those calls, one person, he lives in a different country. So like he was still a little unsure how it would work for him out of the country. And like, to be honest, like, yeah, it can work. You'll have to go through these steps. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to go through those steps. Understood. Totally get it. Another person was like, yeah, I've been procrastinating long enough. I've been to your event. I'm sold. How do we get started? Boom. Got that close. Right. And the other one was basically said the same thing, but like, I didn't know you had a thing. And a week before I signed up for your event, I bought this other course and I kind of got to see, I want to see that one through, but you're already offering more than what I paid for. But I just, I'm like, hey, I get it. No hard feelings. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be here whenever you're done with that. And whether that person comes back or not, who knows, right? A lot of times they may mean well at the moment, but life happens and, plans change. They could have been just saying that. I don't know. But either way, like all those, number one, everybody showed up to the call. Number two, the conversations were productive and I was able to demonstrate more value. And it just gave me more of a sign that, hey, this is the right way to approach these things.
Oh man, Victor, I love that. I love the change in how it's just the energy. You have so much more conviction and energy to these calls that, they're already coming in, they already know you. They've been through your training, they saw your videos, and there are people who are just in a buying season. They'll buy one program and they'll say they want to sit it out, but why would they be in yours if they, they're in that buying state? So actually, I believe that as you get more skilled, it would be part of, they would also purchase yours.
Right.
With that particular guy. Another one was international, but what you said was so important. Like, one of the guys said, I didn't even know you had that thing. So that is huge, because the more people just discover you and then they see what you're about, then they have a chance to say yes to you. And one of the things the challenge allows our clients to do is, one of my clients said that people were coming out of the woodworks because they just had no idea. And this is helping them understand that you have an offer, you have something of value that they can say yes to. So I'm really excited for that. And a lot of times people who have tried other things, maybe it works, maybe it won't, but there's always something missing in these other programs if they continue to, if they come back to you. Just like for you, you
Right.
purchased group programs. You didn't stop there because there was something that was missing, either in technique or in support, because people run their programs differently, and they won't just give up, unless they actually do. But most of the time, people continue searching for that solution. So I like that you went into depth about these 3 conversations. And one guy, it was just like, I'm sold already. And we have those conversations as well with our own clients. I saw the challenge, Kim. It's my second time through this. I'm sold. Like, what is it? Let me sign up for it, right? Callie's like, what's the cost of Victor's program? What is the program? Victor's program, we're going to get into that as well. Victor's program is land investment, Callie. And so of about 32 people signed up, 8 people show up, 11 people on the highest day. When you pitch, no one booked a call. jumped into the VIP session. A couple hours later, told them, hey, look, this is a problem. I have the solution. You're going to continue trying to stumble, you're going to try to figure this out. Why not just schedule the call? 3 of them said yes out of 5 or 6, which is
Something like that. I
50%.
think that day was like 5. A couple of people who were more excited, they just had work, so they couldn't make it. So it was less than normal, but yeah.
Yeah, so about 50% of your audience. And then of 3 calls, you close 1. So
Correct.
it is 33% conversion on the booked calls that you did have. And the one that sold was already sold. It was just like, I'm in. Let me just pay. So I love that for you, because a lot of times people run ads to an ecosystem that they don't even know will convert. We know, based on your numbers, that you can convert. We just got to have more eyeballs on you now. But the asset, the training that you did, that you finished doing, is your multi-million-dollar asset right there. And so I'm really, really excited for like what's to come ahead. I do want to dive into a couple things, which is, you said Larry made a difference in the
Yes.
way that you close. So how were you closing before, and then what are the tweaks that you did that allowed you to close now? Uh, regardless of a guy who's like, I'm already sold, so maybe that's like an easier close, right? Like how's the way that you treat sales changed from Larry's advice?
Yeah, well, even with the people who are like kind of ready to go and they're pre-sold, you can blow those too, right?
Mm.
Um, and they were already sold, but I didn't know that until the end. So it was like more of like, oh, okay, well let's get going. Um, so before, I've taken several different sales trainings, and when you're doing these things, especially for high ticket stuff, there's a certain framework and methodology, right? You gotta set the agenda. You do a little bit of rapport building, or maybe depending on who you're talking to, you might do it vice versa. You kind of figure out what's really going on, recap everything. You go into your pitch, and then you handle the objections, right? That's the general flow. That from all the different sales training, that's what I got. Everybody just sales training, they got their own script or template to follow. So I
Mhm.
had like 6 or 7 of these damn things, and every time I did it, none of them felt authentic to me.
Mm.
And everybody would say, oh, you got to adjust it and change it to your voice, your personality. But at the same time, they're like, stick to the script because we know it works. So
Yeah.
trying to balance that was tough because the lines didn't make sense to me. And my
Mm.
most recent one that worked maybe once or twice, but didn't get me a consistent result. This is the one I had right before I started, following Larry's advice. Um, it had me breaking that cardinal rule of doing a lot more talking when it was time to pitch. And because I'm trying to show how valuable I am, I'm basically trying to convince them to, work with me, because look at all the things that you get, right? And now I don't do that. Like, I kind of knew maybe that's not the way to go, but again, I'm told this script works. It's worked for other people. It's going to work for you. Just follow it. But now I'm not doing that. Obviously, you still have to let them know what they're going to be signing up for. But Larry helped me to really hone it down to what's going to work well for them. Um, and then there's another video training that you have. I forgot the guy's name, but it was a one-off video where he was kind of talking about that. And yeah, so I kind of put that advice together. So I was really able to just focus on what they needed, and then share with them the part of my curriculum and everything that actually fit exactly what they were looking for, as opposed to giving them everything in the kitchen sink. And a lot of times, I probably overwhelmed them, right, with all that information. So like, it's hard not to give an answer like, well, I need to think about this. This is a lot, right? I got to do a lot. I'm getting a lot. Is this, do I really want, it was too much. So now I simplify things, and it's more conversational. Um, and yeah, it's not like I had to throw out everything that I was doing before. I just had to have a little bit more intention and just have somebody kind of steer me in the right direction.
Mm. I love that. So it felt more natural for you in terms of having that conversation now. versus like feeling overcompensating or giving them the whole kitchen sink and then them going, oh man, there's a lot. I gotta go think about it. So that shift made a big difference for you.
Yes.
Awesome. Love that. So for uh, with you, Victor, and this is to answer Callie's question, you did about one client at 8K, right?
Yes.
One client at 8K. Okay. So I like to ask these questions in succession, and this is so that you can model this as well when you do your own client interviews, which I'm looking forward for you to do. I asked 3 questions in a row, which is time from the time you joined the program to when you felt like it's your first win, whether that's money or non-monetary. So time to first win. And then the second one is time to your return on your investment. Uh, and then what's the actual amount that you made? And I like to cut these clips and then, in the future, marry them together with your other interviews so that you could see your progress. But I'm gonna ask you those 3 questions. All right, Victor, what's your time to first win? What is your return on the invest? When did you feel like you got a return on your investment? And then what is the amount itself? And then what's your niche?
Got it. So time to first win. I mean, I guess my smallest win was just getting that info from Larry. Um, like, oh, this is where this is where I'm falling short on my closing calls. Got it. First win. Because something clicked. I understood. Again, I understood some of these things logically, but he just helped me understand at a deeper level where I can really embody it.
How long after you joined the program is time to
I
first
jumped
win?
on one of his calls like probably I think I joined on a Friday. His calls are on Tuesday. So yeah, it was like, I don't know, 4 days.
All right, 4 days. All right, and then time to you feeling like you got your return on your investment. And you can be candid. You could say, "Oh, I don't feel like I got a return
Yeah, I
on
haven't gotten
investment."
all of it yet, but I have enough to make me, encouraged to keep going. So like the
Mm,
8K is slightly lower. It was the what's it called? The if you book a call now discount, right? My real
mm.
price is either 9K full pay, 10K payment plan. Working with the concierge, we upped it to 12K payment plan, 10K or I don't know if it's 12K or 9K. I forgot what I wrote down. Right, it's all the same to me. Just pay me money. Um, so I guess once I get a couple more of those, like if I can get more people in my group, or I mean, I don't care about the main group that much. More about people in the challenges that are more like my type of people that hey, they're actually looking to really do this. Is whether or not I'm their cup of tea. Um, then I'm going to be like I've gotten my ROI, even if not all of them convert, just for the fact that I'm talking to the right people, because that's more important to me, at least in the short term, to show that I put in my time and effort into this and it's paying off. And then now it's up to me, using skills that I've acquired previously and during this to let them know, hey, I'm the best option going forward. And that has less to do with the program and more to do with me. That's why it's more about, am I getting in front of the right people who are willing to work with me? And all I got to do is just let them know, we will be a good team, as I show you this land investing thing. And then my niche is land investing. So yeah, I just show people how to do what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah. So, do you feel that with the time left you have with us and what we have to show you, do you feel like because the thing that you want to avoid, I believe on our call, was that you didn't want to just get the return on investment back and that's it.
Right.
You want
Right.
something that is because you know how to convert clients, and before it was just really inconsistent. And so, with our method, and now that you have converted 33%, your next steps, Victor, is to fill up that group with volume, and you can actually do that with ads, like running an ad that says, "Hey, you're interested in land investing? I have a training for you," so that it's very specific to them, and
Mhm.
that way, the money that you make from the clients that you enroll, we push back into ads, and it doesn't mean like a lot. It's about $10 to $15 per lead, but that will push the volume to something that now converts. Well, given say with saying that, do you see that with the time you have left with us, that this can give you that, not only the return on the investing, but that consistency that you were looking for, and not just like a one-stop shop, one-time deal, grind? Yeah. So I guess that's, let me take a step back. So do you see that with the method that you just did, that this is different than what have you tried before?
Yes, it is different. Um, it's not night and day different, where I've never seen anything like it. As I said, I've done live events before, but the way that you approach it is different. And even going through the videos, I was like, oh, there's a couple light bulbs that went off. So kudos for you for that. So yes, it's different. And I can see a possible way where, it all kind of multiplies and all that, especially with the level of support that I've been getting. Like, I think for me personally, that's the biggest element. So yeah, no, I can definitely see it. Like, if things continue to go as they've been going, I can definitely see that happening. So yeah, there you go.
I love that, Victor. And I love how candid you are. You're like, well, it's this, but really it's the support. And the support made a big difference.
Mhm.
So with that said, these interviews go for about 50 minutes. We have a VIP session that I'm hosting like in about 10 minutes. But when before I hop off, I always ask a few questions left, and then I do want to shout you out so that my audience knows that you teach land investing and that you've been doing this for a long time. And I want to give you that exposure. That's like the win-win of these conversations. So, with that said, if someone, let's say they were on the fence to join Ignite, one of the biggest objections I have is like, oh, I can't attend all of the group coaching calls because I'm on a different time zone, let's say.
Mhm.
Did you have to attend every single coaching call for you to get success? I know you attended Larry's, but did you feel like you have to show up to every coaching call that we have available during the week for you to go through the program?
Nah, no, not at all. Like, I focus on literature. I'm like, okay, I know I need help there. The other stuff, automation, ad copy, your offer, all that stuff, I'm like, I don't really care about that. So I've, I ignore those calls personally. No offense. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're great, but it's just not what I'm looking to do right now. Um, Mainly because I have the concierge that we can communicate a little bit more, on demand, so to speak. So I didn't necessarily feel like I need to go to those other calls at all. Um, and then there might be a time where that changes, where I'm like, okay, I need a little bit more specialty help. I think I went to one of Michael's calls once, Michael Rosenberg's call once. But for the
Mhm.
most part, I just do Larry's calls, and that's the only call I try to attend.
I love it. And then last question is, if someone were to be on the fence and they were like, have you done this specific thing before? It's the only reason why I'll say yes. Like, for example, someone who teaches art, right? And they want another example of those who teach art as well. Do you feel like what we teach inside of the program is very niche specific to just a few niches, or like what's your candid opinion on that? If someone had to get a specific example, you got a specific example, so we did
Right.
help a land investor. But do you feel like if I didn't have a specific example, would they still benefit from joining if they're a good fit?
Yeah, I think so. Because even your example, I didn't feel it was that close to me to be real. Like, oh yeah, they did exactly the same thing. Like, I'm like, oh no, I don't think she understands what I do compared to what other person does. So I just said, yeah, sure, she's in Atlanta for sure she is. So like I came into this fully thinking I was unique in my thing, and most times I am, because most people, they've never heard of what I do. Even people who found my group in other ways, they think I wholesale, meaning I find people who want to buy and sell their home, or sell their home, they're underwater. So I sign a contract, I get on the contract, and I sell the contract to an actual buyer. I don't do that crazy stuff. A lot of people think I do that, right? So people out in the industry, that's what they think I do. Um, so yeah, I didn't think anybody that you had into your tutelage did anything close to what I did. I could be wrong. I could have misunderstood you, thinking you were misunderstanding me, but I totally thought I'm unique because I'm normally unique, at least what I do. So yeah, no, you don't need to have a person that's done exactly what you did to make this successful. It's based using Facebook groups to their full advantage, and then eventually automating that stuff so you can just make sure you're talking to the right people, getting in front of your tribe, building that tribe, and then helping you guys um, build something together. While you're coaching them, things like that.
I love that. Victor, how has, I love talking about the shift in perspective. How, how has the future changed for you now, in terms of what you see that's ahead versus before where you're like, I tried everything and nothing works for me. How has that shift, um, how has the reality kind of shifted for you in terms of like hope for what's to come ahead? And then after that, how can people find you? Where can they go to find you? And who do you help specifically?
Got it. So before, everything just felt like I was throwing spaghetti on the wall and just seeing what was sticking. And what would stick one day may not stick so well the other day. Granted, like I like being on podcasts and stuff, so anytime I'm interviewed, it always gives me a boost, a little bit, because I say weird things and make people laugh and everything else. So there's that, but that's the only thing that was consistent. Like if I get on podcasts, I can spread the word, but even after that, the process wasn't that like thought out. Where now, with what I've learned from you and your program, there is a process I can follow. Before I'm just trying to like, okay, well, if I get them in a group, then maybe somehow I can start a DM with them, and then hopefully I can get them a thing. Or during my email list, I like to email people, so maybe no. Now it's just like, okay, boom, we have the event, they go to the thing. It all is a sequence that makes sense. So I know how to funnel people as opposed to trying two or three different things at once and just hoping a champion emerges, so to speak. So yeah, no, that process, having the confidence to know what's going to happen next, how to make it happen, and then even more important, you guys should write this down, is if you understand what that process should be, it's easier to break things down to know what part is not doing as well as something else. So you can make the adjustments. You can, tweak things here or there. Um, and I think that's the biggest thing that, at least for me, and that's going to lead to consistency. That's going to be a way where I can just like, all right, if I do these things, then I can start to expect a certain result, and then I can just add to it if necessary, or scale back if I don't want to be this big Oprah like celebrity. Um, so there's that. Now people can find me, and they can go to my Facebook. It's my name is Victor D. Reynolds. I'm the black guy, so there's probably a bunch of Victor D. Reynolds out there. My Facebook group is Land Investing for Professional Millennials. It's obviously linked from my main page. My IG is Victor D. Reynolds as well. I have a bunch of short videos about land investing because I thought that was a way to get people to know who I am. All that really did was just have my friends and family just get like, oh, you do land. Like, yeah, but you're not into land, so I don't care if you know. I need people who won't. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, Facebook, my group, and yeah, there it is. There it is. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Hit me up. I'll talk back to you. I'm not. Even though I'm on this live stream, the being a celebrity hasn't gone to my head yet. But you got a couple of weeks before I get too big for you, and then I might ignore you. So you better hit me up soon. But yeah, I'll be glad to
Or
talk to anybody about this or land investing. So
yeah, or his prices will increase as well.
yeah, definitely
So
100% increase.
get in now when Victor just started launching in this method. He's had clients before as well, but
Mhm.
get in now before he blows up. This is Victor D. Reynolds. Land Investing for Professional Millennials is his Facebook group. You guys should go. The reason why had Victor enroll, and the reason why in the conversation with him I was like, all right, Victor, if you just try this, it's going to work, is because Victor is so confident in what he knows and what he can teach. He makes more income from his land investing than the coaching, which is a story that might change in the future. But he had so much conviction and so much trust and confidence in his own ability to help people. That's when I said, all right, come on in. You have so much confidence. You've already helped so many people. For sure, if someone goes and become your client, you're going to be able to help them, and it's not fluff. So I had that confidence, and that's why I believe on the call you're like, Kim, a lot of things didn't work out. Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, yes. So I love the future for you, Victor. And so I do have to hop off. So what I'm gonna do, Victor, now is I'm gonna put you into the green room, which is like in that room. And I know you're busy, so you can go ahead and click the X to hop out, get about your day. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing your story. This won't be our last interview connection, because I do want to get that interview again when you hit those bigger numbers as well. I'm really excited for you. Thank you so much for showing up today, Victor. All right.
No problem. No problem.
All right. So I put Victor into the green room, and that's Victor, ladies and gentlemen. You can go and find him on Facebook, find him online. He does land investing, and what is it? And if you are right now, you're inside of the 5-day challenge group. Make sure that if you are interested in working with us, I'm going to be talking about our implementation program in about 2 days. But if you want to have kind of like a head start to see what our program is about, go ahead and go to groupconvertignite.com/application to see if you qualify to work with us. We don't take everyone in. We will take you in if we know that the knowledge you have inside of your head is real. You can actually help people honestly, and you tried doing that in the past inconsistently, let's say, but now you want a consistent method to be able to truly help those you want to serve. All right. With that said, I'll see you guys shortly in the VIP session if you're in the 5-day training group. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.